Okay. And are you there, Tomisi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, while we wait for other students to join, so I was just saying this is the last scheduled lecture for your second semester. So from the next week, uh, it will be seminars and revision until your exams. So now concerning the revision, tell your class that look, any topic that your class feels you need in the revision on, it is your responsibility to contact the lecturer. The- There is no lecturer that is going to call you for revision. You people, you are to contact him and tell him that you need to revise so topic with him or her. Okay. So now with that cleared, let us talk about today's lecture. So now today, basically, we are talking about report writing. Report writing for project or to generally, you know, how we write an incredible scientific academic report. So if we relate it to programming, you know, there are very many in times uh, in a program management uh, when and where you need to write a report. As an example, when you do the baseline survey uh, to enable you do the situation analysis, you need to write the report of your survey. And then, while you are also implementing at 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 the different times during implementation, you need to appraise your performance, and you need to write appraisal reports. Okay, project appraisal reports or project the review reports or supervision reports or monitoring reports or statistical reports. Okay, as part of the reports that you write as a program manager, you know, and and of course at the end of a program, when you do the evaluation, you also need to write an evaluation report. Therefore, every program manager is expected to be skilled in how to write a technical report. A report that is technical, that is logical, and in fact, uh, that is one thing that I need to add. So so the fact that there are principles that you need to follow uh, uh, in you writing a credible technical report. So let me just go through. Uh, Let me share the slide that I have, but I will need to add principles of a report and a writing. Maybe I should just quickly do that now. Just 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 to give me a minute. let me add principles of report writing.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because without this, it will not be complete. Okay. Yes. I I don't know if you can see what I am putting down. Uh, I will I will fine tune it before I share it with you. Anyway.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So just it was just something that I missed, and I'm trying to correct it. Okay. Good. So back now. Okay. So I think yes. So okay. No, you are welcome. Nicola Ole.
Thank you, sir.
Now what happened today? You are usually the first person to connect.
Today is actually Democracy Day in Nigeria, so my agency has to be at the dome with the governor.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So, yes. So, no, today is even no, the day that I give it to the people doing the CASP in the HPM 825 for them to submit their CASP assignment on June 12. Okay. So, okay, fine. So, for us to actually release you, yes. So, for you to go and celebrate the democracy. Okay. The democracy that the country is still crying for. Okay, fine. So now let us come back to our topic of today. This is it. So, and particularly for you as a student, how to write the credible technical report is an essential skill. Usually after you have done a piece of work, you need to know how to write a report of that work, okay, to the audience who need to be informed. And so for you to be able to do that, you need good report writing skills. Okay. Almost every person who wants to do the job of a program manager or the job of an M&E officer, one of the questions that you might be asked in an interview is whether you have report writing skills. So that is the skill I am hoping you will learn from this. And I know that you would have learned them better if we have a practice in a practice in our sessions. And certainly you practice it when you are writing your dissertation after you are back from the field. So let us start from the very, very basics. What is a report? Yes, who can help me try to put what you know into a definition? How would we define a report? Jesu to missing.
Yes, sir. A report is like a written summary of an activity or of something done so as to inform the stakeholders that need to get information about it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, good. Nicola Ole, how about you? Can you define a report?
A report is I'm going to explain. It's more like a document that is
Okay,
structured,
okay,
that gives information about that gives information in an organized way about something that has been done.
okay,
It is intended to more like record events.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Now, therefore, from what you have actually defined, it is clear that a report is different from a proposal. So, what is the key difference between a report and a proposal? From these definitions or explanations or descriptions that you've given. Yes, Jesus told me see.
I think if Yes, sir. I think a proposal is about what we intend doing, to give
Okay,
like overview of what we intend doing. Why the report is after we've carried out the activity.
okay, okay, yeah. So now, which means a report is a report of the work already done or of an event that has already happened. Whereas a proposal is a plan. Okay, a proposal is a plan or a protocol of what we intend to do. Therefore, the way we write the two, they are not the same. One clear difference is in the uh, in the grammatical tense that you use. Okay, in a proposal, you use a tense like, we will go here, we will do that. You use a future tense in the details that you write in a proposal. Always, we will go here, we will do there, we will use this particular study method, we will gather participants, they will be interviewed. Always will, shall, no, in future tense. Whereas in a report, the tense is actually past tense. And especially the way you describe the methodology. Okay, so always we examined, we investigated, we we reviewed. Okay, we interviewed. Always past tense. Therefore, the way we catch students who actually copy, who actually copy and pasted the materials from a research articles to write their project at a proposal is when we see the tense that they are using. Because most of the research and articles, because they are reporting the work all that is already done, they will always use the past tense. So if you copied and pasted any article material into your study proposal, and you do not know the difference, we will catch you, because the grammar tense is what will reveal that, wow, this person copied from a work that is already done. And I think when you guys first attempted a pre-filled project at a presentation, one guy, one guy actually did that. The whole proposal was actually copied from an article, and he couldn't defend it because that the written material was not his own. So now another question: why do we write reports? Okay. Nakola Wole gave us one. He said to document, to document, to document a work that is already done. And also Tomisi also gave one the reason why we write the report when she said to inform the stakeholders. And so that those are two key reasons why we write at the reports, and especially in a work public health at a context. You need, if you have done any piece of work, just as I said, if you carried out to the baseline in a survey, you need to inform the stakeholders as to what is the result of the survey. And then you also need to inform the planners, the people who will plan the intervention. They will need to read your report to be able to do their situation analysis. So that is very, very true. And then we also said when you are also implementing a project, okay, the performance appraisals, they need actually, any analysis you do, when you collect data, you analyze data, the results of that analysis need that to be reported. That is in a technical statistical report. And then when you also go for supervision, of course, you also need to write report. And of course, when you carry out evaluation or when you carry out any research in a study, you must write a report with the audience in mind. So basically, these are two definitions that I found while I was preparing in my lecture yesterday. One source said the report is a structured presentation of information, facts, the findings that is meant to inform a specific audience. So the key word there is it is actually structured. And even though we will come later to see that it is not every report that has a structure. Okay, so but yes, generally, when you think of a technical report, okay, it is a structured presentation of information, facts, and the findings that you mean to communicate. Therefore, a report is a communication tool. Okay, and it can be written communication or a verbal communication. Okay, the report can also be the document. It is either electronic document or the paper document, if it is written, or purely verbal, that gives a formal or informal account of an event that has already happened. So, therefore, the purpose of a report is to document a work, an event that has happened for information and for records keeping and for further action by a targeted audience. Okay, so that it is therefore, if you want the target audience to actually understand what you are actually reporting, your report needs to have a structure. It needs to have also clarity, and then very, very often it needs to be brief and concise, and then very often it needs to be logical. So we will soon look at 37 principles that every good technical report must satisfy. So I am sure, okay, this is a wide range telling you that, look, there are different kinds of a report, and they all report the work that has been done. The project in the report reports on the project that has been implemented or the activities done. In the research, the report about the research. So the work, the event, is what every report presents with the purpose to inform, to record, and to give a basis for further action. So progress report, supervision report, evaluation report, and financial report, or to medical report, written by doctors for the care that they have provided for a particular patient. Judicial report written by lawyers. Okay, the monitoring report, business report, or the newsletter that the people write. The people write periodically, to actually outline the progress, going on within a particular organization. The newspaper too is also a report, and magazines. So these are news reports. They report news of what is happening happening in the society. Articles, opinion papers, and statistical report, case report, personal reports. These are all different kinds of reports. Okay, so yeah, but if we say what are the types of a report, okay, in a particular sources, reports are broadly categorized by their format. And the format means the way they are written. Intent means the message that the report intends to communicate. Therefore, you can have different types of a report, defined by their format, by the way they are written, and then by their message, the intent. Okay, what the reporter aimed to communicate to his or her audience. Therefore, you have reports that are actually informational reports. Factual data that are actually descriptive, but it doesn't show any analysis, and it doesn't give any recommendation. So the example now, after minutes of meetings, they are reports, but they just want to pass information about what was discussed or information about the progress being made. Then you have also analytical reports, such as your research reports, your evaluation reports, that seek to report the findings and the interpretation, and then provide conclusions as well as recommendations. And then, and in terms, so basically, those are the two types in terms of their intent. Okay, the informational reports are those that the intent is to pass information only. Okay, and then you have reports that you can actually describe as a technical reports or scientific reports, because they give more than just the passing information. They actually tell you about the interpretations, the discussions, the recommendations, the conclusions given by the reporter on the findings that he made from the work done. But when you look at how they are different in their format, in the way they are written, you are talking about their differences in terms of their structure. So, therefore, there are two broad types. There are those reports that are called formal reports. These are reports that are actually structured. Okay, structured in that they have actually structured the report in a way that it is actually logical, and then and formal reports, most of them you usually have a similar structure. So that if you talk about the technical reports, academic reports, or actually articles, those ones, they are usually highly structured, lengthy, and they have a specific logical layout. And then the informal reports, they are shorter, and they may not have any structure, because the reporter just wants to pass information. So most informal reports, as an example, the reports that you will read in a newspaper, usually they just describe the events as it happened, without giving any structure to it. So there are still reports, so that you have formal reports and informal reports. So, and then there are reports that are written according to the type of a literature, or the type of writing. And so that definitely so on this particular basis, on the style of a writing, there are two broad types. And then you have the reports that are academic, scientific, and 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 and, and actually reports or literature or a piece of writing that we call gray literature. So the way that you write them are completely different. Okay, in academic, the writings or reports, uh, uh, and as far as their structure is actually concerned, they are formal. Okay, they, they are formal. They are based on the evidence, and and they are written for a scholarly audience, for an academic audience. Basically, that is one thing that actually makes it academic. Okay, and then they are used to disseminate research facts, and then you usually uh, evidence from a study carried out. So the language is a technical and, uh, and and usually highly intellectual. That is why people who who have not uh, 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 who have not educated up to the undergraduate level or higher find it difficult to read any research article. People who actually write news have to actually rewrite their findings from a research in a way that a layperson can understand. So, therefore, the academic reports, the language is actually technical and intellectual. And then you can be sure that the academic reports, they are always objective. Okay, you don't expect any, well, less if it is a qualitative, if in a study report, you don't expect any subjective if reporting in it, because people will say the report is biased. So an academic in the literature can be trusted that if it is well written, it lacks bias. And then the style, the style is also logical, okay, which means step by step. And that is why it is a structured report, highly structured. So that is why it is a formal and style of writing. It has a structure. Now, besides, uh, uh, if they are journal and articles, you expect that before the journal and the published it, the work of the authors have been peer reviewed, which means they have been checked and criticized and corrected, by their peers. Therefore, you should be able to trust journal peer-reviewed articles because they are academic, they are formal, they are evidence-based, they are written for an academic audience. They disseminate facts, evidence, the language, technical, intellectual. They are objective, logically structured, and they have been peer reviewed. Therefore, that tells you that the quality and uh, the credibility of, of, of an academic report is so much higher than that of the gray literature. Gray literature includes basically the opposite of the academic. Okay, they are informal writings, personal personal opinions, specific reports of organizations, governments, politicians, you know. So therefore, they are usually not based on not based on any research evidence, and then they are usually written to a wider lay audience, the general population, and written to women, to children, to youths, and the community people. Usually, any person who picks up a grade in the literature, should be able to understand. As an example, a novel is a great literature. Okay, therefore, any person who understands the language should be able to read and understand a report that is actually written as a gray literature. So the purpose is usually to inform readers, to advertise, to entertain, and to motivate, and at times to mislead or spread the political propaganda. Therefore, the great literature is non-technical, highly emotional, and commercial. Okay? So, and because of that, they are usually subjective. Their style is actually what is called impressionistic. They are actually written in a way to make an impression, in a style. Therefore, they will use a style, features that will attract their audience to want to actually read it. A research, an article doesn't need to make an impression. No, the purpose is just to actually describe a particular study done and the evidence that was generated from that particular research done. So usually, gray literature, they are not peer reviewed. And for example, very many textbooks, okay, very many textbooks or books that the people write, and especially if it is actually written by an author. So we actually say that particular book is the author's opinion. And same thing too, and if you go to electronic reports, okay, and then the reports that you read from a Wikipedia, contains a lot of personal information, because that particular website gives a link for people who know about the topics to continually update with their own personal additions. Okay, so which may not be academic. Even 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 though Wikipedia contains quite a lot of academic text, and therefore people advise, or at least schools advise, that yes, that if you want an introduction to a topic, you can go on to Wikipedia just for you to have, you know, to have to see the range of a personal thoughts that people have about that a topic. But if you want to, but if you want the information that you can cite in a in an academic ink work, then you need to use only academic in the literature that you can cite as uh, as a credible ob objective source of information. Therefore, the types of writing, you have journal, an academic, and includes journal articles, research, reports, and a dissertation, thesis, and academic textbooks. Okay, and an academic textbooks, they are textbooks that are structured and then written for an academic audience. So that is what really makes them academic. Unlike other books that are published for the general and the audience, in the newspapers, magazines, and the novels, and the social media, reports, blogs, texts, and messages, organizational and the reports, project reports. So all these are all called gray literature. So, and these are the examples. I'm sure you can add more examples to this list, but it just tells you the the types of academic literature and types of gray literature. So yes, so this was what I actually hurriedly added to my presentation. So I actually propose 7 principles that should guide how you write a technical report to ensure that, one, the structure is a logical, the content is objective, and then the intent is for a technical or academic audience. Therefore, these 7 principles are what should guide your writing of a technical academic report. 1, it must be structured, and the structure should be logical. Okay, so I will actually give us the structure, but the basic structure of a technical report, follows what I have called the SIMRDCR model, where I stands for information, the methods M. The S stands for the summary or abstract. I for introduction, M for methods, R for results, D for discussion, C for conclusion, and then R for recommendation. So that if you remember SIMRDCR, okay, you will know that whatever technical report you are writing must contain these seven contents, okay, written in a logical way. Okay, so principle 2, when you are writing a technical report, you think about your audience. You have the reader in mind. So you write what is actually suitable for the audience that you wish to communicate the report to. And then 2, the language is the language is actually professional. The language is academic. The language is intellectual. Therefore, you need to actually write it not just with the logical structure, but also the content. The English. Definitely there are words that you don't expect to see in that in a technical in a technical report. You don't use words that are abusive and insulting, or words that actually derogatory. Okay, so that, and then you don't also write insinuations. And then you don't write it, but actually expecting them to read between the lines. So, and always mind your language when you write a technical academic report. So the other principle is the fact of that it should be concise and clear. So there is that acronym that we call KISS, KISS. Keep it short and simple. Okay? The size of your report matters. Keep it short, keep it concise, keep it simple, devoid of any unnecessary content. Words that do not convey the information you wish to communicate should not be used. Phrases, paragraphs, pictures, tables, if they don't add anything to your message, then don't use them, so that your report can be kissed, that is, kept short and simple. And one of the most important principle is actually principle number 5, originality. The report that you write and that you submit to be assessed must be your original work. Don't dupe, don't steal other people's work, other people's knowledge. And then if you have borrowed any diagram, text, phrase, information that from other authors or sources, you need to make that clear in your report. And then you either paraphrase them, okay, or you quote them. And you must definitely cite their references so that people will know that you are not the originator of that particular knowledge. If you fail to do that, you are liable for an academic crime that is called plagiarism. The university can actually rusticate you. If they actually find you guilty that you have reported another person's work as your own. Just only last week, and I think I actually said it before, the M&E an assignment that I gave now to your class. One particular student who didn't know what to do wrote, after the class rep, please, can I see how you did your own assignment? And that particular rep now foolishly sent the student the exact assignment that was submitted to me. And of course, the student, knowing that, this particular person's work has already been marked to be very good, that particular student just copied verbatim the assignment collected from the class rep, and also sent it to me, not knowing that, look, I will find out. And ideally, I should have actually reported them to the school. Instead, and I chose the part that I will cancel the work that they have done and then ask them to do it all over again. And the penalty is that by the time you have been caught cheating, and then you have been told to actually redo, there is no how you can underscore any merit grade. The highest you can get is a C. Because you actually cheated before. So, and that is if you are not also reported to the university's disciplinary committee, that might lead to a bigger crime. So please, I have said it again and again, do not plagiarize. Do your work yourself. Okay, and then if you copied anything from another author, cite them. Okay, and this is very, very important in the way you write your proposals as well as the report of your studies that you will write that is in your dissertation. And the technical reports, just as I said before, they are evidence-based. So it is a principle that they should be objective. And the only way they can be objective is if you base your findings, your conclusions, your recommendations on the evidence of what you observed or what you measured. That is what we call evidence. That you observed it, you actually measured it, and then the results of your observation, your analysis, your test, they form the basis for the interpretation, conclusions, and the recommendations that you give. So it is a principle of every technical report that they must be evidence-based. And then the seventh principle is that the formatting, the finishing, the presentation, they need to be professional. They need to be technical. Okay? And the formatting, the editing. And so that by the time people see your finished article, and your finished work, the formatting will tell the readers that it is technical. So please note these the 7 principles of a technical report writing. So when we talk about part of the structure, okay, so I already told us that, look, that every technical report need to have the contents of SIMRDCR written in that structured order. This part, this summary, even though it is the part of your report that you write last, it is usually the part that you present first. Okay, followed by the introduction, methods, results, discussion, and the conclusion. So these three report type that I present here, you will see that because they are actually they're actually technical reports, they all contain a summary, introduction, method, results, discussion, conclusion, recommendation. All. Okay, but then they also contain other things, that is actually specific to their reporting style or format. Okay, as an example, DME reports or situation reports, baseline survey reports, usually contains an executive summary. So the executive summary usually a one-page a summary, but it is actually similar to what is called or the abstract in an article or a dissertation. Just that the executive summary is actually longer than an abstract. An abstract usually should have 1 or 2 paragraphs. But an executive and the summary is actually longer, but they all report the highlights of what is contained in the entire report. Okay, so The M&E reports also writes the acknowledgements, which you will also write in your dissertation, but you don't write the, the acknowledgement as part of a journal article. Okay? No glossary, abbreviations, table of content, you don't write those in a journal article. So these are the differences. So and then in your dissertation also, in addition to the table of a content, you are expected to also provide an index of the tables and the figures in your thesis. Okay, and that also differentiates them from a journal article and an M&E report. So that and apart from that, yeah. So the, the the technical reports, they they're actually similar, you know. In fact, in the way the other sections are actually reported. Okay, so please just note how these three academic writings are similar and how they are different. But one thing you see is that every technical report has a title page. You know, a page that that has the title of the work done, whether M&E reports, journal article, or your uh, 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 or your project the study dissertations. So definitely, if you have any question, you can ask. So now this is a summary of what the sections of a technical report what it contains. Now the title page contains the main title, the subtitle, the names, contacts of the authors, the co-authors, and of course, if the work was funded, okay, you need to also put the names and address and actually the logo of the organization that actually funded the work. So usually the address of the organization where the work was done and all those things, their contact details are all written in the title page. The abstract, just as I said before, is just a highlight of the whole article. The introduction gives the background information, and while actually the methodology is where you described how the work was done. And I will give more details on this after this slide. And the results and the findings, they are your observations. This is where you actually document the results of your data analysis. The measurements that you carried out, written according to the study variables or the indicators that you measured. The discussion is where you write the interpretation of your results. Okay, and basically where you actually synthesize as your findings for you to now make your general conclusions. So in the conclusion is where you make your value judgments. Basically, you judge the evidence in the light of the purpose, the aims of your study. And then under the recommendations, they are they are your suggestions, your proposals for how changes and improvements can be done on on that project or work that you studied. The references, they are where you write the publication details of the reference of the authors that you cited in the body of your report. So basically, if we just go through the key parts, just to give more details about what the report contains and how you write them. So how you write the abstract or summary, how you write the introduction, how you write the methodology, well, and of course, how you write the discussion, conclusion, recommendation. So the abstract is the shop window. And those of us who do window shopping, when you go to those big shops to just walk around without any intention to buy anything. Okay, so some people might not want to read your report, might not want to read the whole the report, but the abstract gives them a gives them a snapshot of what the report is about. Therefore, you actually write it, mainly to contain the highlights only. Okay, and then it is the first part of your report, and very often it is the only part that will be read by most readers. Therefore, you need to have that in mind. So that you put the essential things that will encourage them to want to now find more by now, by going to the relevant sections of your report if they need any information more than what the abstract has provided. So in terms of the length, yes, it needs to be short, one or two paragraphs, and always less than a page and not more than a page. So, and for you to write it, you provide the highlights of the introduction, the method, the findings, and your conclusion. So, and then particularly if it is an M&E report, you can also say what is the key recommendation of your study or of your M&E report. So that this is how you write the abstract. The introduction is where you provide the usually it is the pre-study background information, which means you don't write the results from the work you did in the introduction. So it usually contains the information that you already had before you set out to do the work. Therefore, you give a background on the project and a background of the context. Okay, in fact, the background. So the background includes the baseline information, the current situation of the project and the context. It must be contained in the introduction. And then the purpose, the goals, the rationale, the justification for your work, they are all written in the introduction chapter as a study background. And then generally, what are the questions that you set out to answer? And then for a research at a report, such as articles and your dissertation, you need to also state the theoretical, the conceptual, and the philosophical background of your study. So all that is what you write. Those of us who have passed through match supervision sessions, this is the outline that I gave you as to how you write the introduction. Okay, so and I won't go through them again, because the way you write the introduction for your proposal, basically you have also inherently written the background and information for your report as well. So it should contain all this. Okay, and I won't spend time going through that. If you have passed through match supervision on the sessions, I have taken you through this. So if it is a research at a report, you need a separate section for literature review. Maybe you observed when I actually showed you when I showed you this is a table, that it is only the dissertation that contains a literature review in a section. Okay, and then the others, the data from and the data from your past studies that you review, they are usually incorporated into the introduction section. In fact, you use data from past studies for you to write the background of a study problem. When you are writing the article or an M&E report. But in a dissertation, your chapter 2 has to provide the details of the literature review. So, and therefore, the literature review presents, presents the evidence from all of the publications of the past work that you reviewed. Okay, and it actually includes only studies that are relevant. That is why Nicola Wole, when we had our supervision on a meeting, and I told you, for you to actually identify studies, articles that are directly relevant to to your research, you need to follow a systematic approach in the way you searched for the literature materials and the way you actually extract the evidence that you need, you using a literature grid. So that you need to actually explain in this particular section also the findings, the evidence that you gathered according to the themes of your search. Okay? And then those themes should be directly connected to the topic of your study. Okay? And then you then present the findings as a critical summary of what is contained in each piece of work that you reviewed, and then when you now synthesize them, you then discuss their synthesis in that is in the conclusion part of your literature review. So you actually critique what particular evidence is a positive, and then which ones are actually biased when you write the literature review. So then definitely you will then make the conclusions about one, the evidence that is available, what is known. Then you conclude about what is not known, and these are the areas that you call gaps. And then you also conclude as to what implications the gaps have for your study that you carried out. So this is how you write the literature review. I actually gave us, if you have gone through much supervision in a session, this is the structure that I gave you for writing the literature reviews in the section of your proposal and of your report. That yes, you write that it should contain the introduction, the goals of your review, the scope, your review method, the database that you searched, your search strategy, and then how you actually extracted the evidence from the articles that you reviewed, and then the analysis of the evidence and how you actually synthesized the findings. Then you write the findings. Therefore, the literature on a review chapter of your report, it is actually a mini report, of the desk review that you carried out to inform your own study. So, because you also have the discussion and the conclusion, and then also the recommendation as to what implications they have for further study. So, and then when you go on now to the method, clearly, so you basically provide details of how you carried out the work. And then you explain why you chose the particular methods, techniques, and tools, and procedures. You always explain why. So clearly, people say you write the methods of the section in a way that if actually the readers wish to repeat the study you've done, they can follow the outline the way you have reported them in the methodology part of your report. Therefore, it needs to be clear. It needs actually to be logical, so that your own study method can be replicated by your readers if they so wish. Therefore, you should explain the procedures, the sampling, measurements, and co. No, and you give sufficient information about all the tools that you use. That is under the method. So those of us who also pass through my supervision in a session, this is the outline of how you write the methodology in the section of your proposal or of your report. In the proposal, you will write these sections in a future tense, that is in the grammar. But in the report, you write these particular sections as past tense. Therefore, the tense you will use to write the introduction to the chapter, the methodology, the study design, and the study population, and sample size, and sample calculation, sample size, and the calculation, and the sampling method, sampling technique, the step-by-step and approach you used, then the main variables that you measured, then the definitions, and then the data collection methods and tools, and then how you confirmed the reliability and the validity of your study instruments. Then you also describe step by step the procedures, of how you actually collected your data. First, we actually recruited interviewers, and then we trained them. Then we went over to the field. Then they gathered the women. First day, second day, third day. The procedure needs to be clearly spelled out so that whoever reads it, if they want to repeat, they already know that if they are to achieve the same results that you got, they need to also follow the steps that you have outlined on the procedures. Data storage, data analysis, and then the ethical considerations, and then other considerations for the reliability and the validity of your study. You need to write that in this section. Then before you then go on to then write the findings. And the findings, you actually structure it according to the variables that you assessed and the indicators that you measured. And then you can present the key findings using text, quotations, descriptions, graphs, tables, and a diagram. And then there's a warning here that you don't repeat the same information. If you have a particular information in a table, don't draw the graph to show the same information that is in a table. In fact, people say in the text where you described what a table or a graph contains, you just generally give a description, of what the table or the graphs or the diagrams illustrate, without you repeating the data that they already contain. So don't No, so you should avoid any repetition. And the one thing that you should also note that the results in a section contains only your observations or the results of your data analysis. Don't write your own opinions, your own interpretation, what you think, what you inform. No, you leave that you leave your interpretation, your connotations, your implications, no, your opinions to the discussion and a session. So it is very, very important that you separate what you observe from from the interpretations that you give to your observation. So results contain only your observation and the statistical results of the calculation of your variables and the indicators. So when you come to the discussion, this is where you bring your findings together in order for you to now interpret what the findings mean. So that is what we call synthesis. And the synthesis is different from analysis. In analysis, you report in your results. In the synthesis, when you come to how you've come to arrive at the bigger picture is what you report in the discussion section. Okay, so that this is where you write your interpretations. This is where you actually compare your result against the background that you wrote in your chapter 1. This is where you answer these study questions that you wrote in your chapter 1. And this is where you also compare your evidence and the interpretation you have actually given against the evidence and the conclusion from previous other studies on the same topic. Okay, that is what makes the discussion very, very, very academic. Not everybody knows how to write the discussion. They can know how to say we actually examined this variable, measured these indicators, and they list out their findings. To discuss need a skill, because you need to be able to do data synthesis. Okay, so and then okay, I have a particular framework that I use to interpret it in a data. Before I will share this in a slide, I will put my interpretation in a framework as a slide in this presentation. So here in the discussion, this is where you also report any problems that you actually encountered. That they may have actually affected the credibility of your findings. So you must report challenges that you experience that may have affected the trust of the worthiness of the evidence of your study. So basically, in this section, you also list the limitations as well. Okay, so definitely, just as I said before, when you write the discussion, you need to answer your study questions and then tell us how you have proven or disproven the hypothesis that you wrote in your chapter 1. The conclusion is a short section. Very, very often, when we write articles, we write the conclusion as the last paragraph of your discussion. But in a thesis, no, in a thesis, for your academic study, the conclusion is a separate chapter on its own. Okay, where you actually sum up the main points from your study, and then you also respond to the purpose. So definitely you make value judgment, based on what the study was, based on the purpose the study was done to fulfill. So therefore, you actually answer to the questions that, that you raised, and you address the aims, and you address the aims and the objectives of your study. So some people might also want to put their recommendations under conclusion. Others put it separately. So in the references, this is actually important, in that you provide the details of all the work that is not your own original work, but that you copied, borrowed, and from other authors. So the articles and books, the literature work that you refer to in your report, you must provide the references for all. Any reference that you cannot connect to a particular citation in your main report should not be in your reference section. Therefore, you need to check. So the other thing that you check is you check dereferencing the style of the institution where you are, and that you actually writing it for. Is it Upper style, Harvard style, Vancouver style? There are different styles of actually referencing the authors whose work that you cited in the main body of your report. So definitely, there's a note here that if you don't know how to cite or how to actually reference the work that you've used, that is your report, check with the librarian of a university. He is there for that and a purpose. Just as they will help you look for the books and articles that you need for your literature review, they can also help you with your referencing style as well. So basically, this is where I end. Yeah, the appendix. There is this particular section that contains every bogus information that you do not find unnecessary to include in the main in the report. So that it contains quite a lot of big tables long list, maps, diagrams, charts, all those things that you could not, but they should be only materials that you have actually referenced, so that you direct people when you write the main in a report. You actually direct people to appendix 1 and appendix 2 and appendix 3, and it usually often contains inside the questionnaire that you used to interview, and at times even the list of your interviewees are actually given here. Those who actually participated or supported, uh, that is in the conduct of a study, if you have not acknowledged them on your acknowledgement page. So basically these, so for you to get more tips on how to write at a report, you can check out this website. So basically this is it. So do we have any questions? Who is this person with this long name? DLXBKV. Now, who is that? Is that Ibitoye? Any questions? Are we still there?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, is that Ibitoye or
Yeah, yes, sir.
okay, fine. So therefore, do you understand now how to write a technical report in terms of the types of a writing, in the style of writing, in the structure of writing, in the contents of each in a section of your report, and basically, what a report is, why we write at a report, and how we write a technical report. Do you understand everything? And do you have a question? No? Okay. So if you don't have any question, so this is my last lecture to you guys this semester. Now the next time we are going to meet on Zoom is next week, Wednesday. So I actually expect all of you to get just supervisors to approve and for you to present. So even if you haven't actually completed, you can still present how far you have gone. All of you in all of you in the M5, you are presenting your research proposals next week, Wednesday. So please send me your presentation so that I can actually share it as you present for everybody to see. Okay. So any questions that you have about that, you should please send me the WhatsApp message accordingly. So thank you so much, everyone, and see you next week.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye-bye.